objectives today. Firstly, we'll focus on understanding the general feasibility of including computerized cognitive assessments in pediatric oncology trials. So is it feasible to include these types of assessments? How do we go about incorporating those, particularly in the context of pediatrics? We'll talk about the benefits of computerized cognitive assessments, aspects such as repeatability, the ease of administration, and also how we go about training supervisors to administer computerized tests to pediatric oncology populations. We'll talk about critical considerations that should be considered when thinking about specific tests that could be considered in the context of pediatric oncology, and also some important trial design elements that you might want to think about if you are considering using computerized tests in this way. So why is there a need to measure neurocognitive effects in the context of pediatric oncology specifically? Well, there's several rationales. Firstly, for many cancer treatments, the magnitude of deficits and the long-term impact of those deficits are quite unclear. So establishing a measure of cognition early in a trial can establish whether there are deficits that exist and what's the magnitude of those. This is particularly important for children and adolescents because neurocognitive effects may actually impact on maturational development and meeting developmental milestones for both children and adolescents. Now, where those impairments are evident, it may affect a whole range of aspects of the child's life, including home, school, and social environments. And also from a clinical trial design perspective, there are some challenges associated with measuring cognition, particularly in children. For example, in global studies, we're often looking to utilize tests that can be incorporated across varying ages. Say, for example, a sample that has participants as young as 4 and as old as 17 years of age. And then incorporating those tests across different languages and cultures can often be a challenge. And so, that's something that we try to address using computerized tests at least. Christy, are you able to speak to the rationale that the Children's Oncology Group had in terms of measuring cognition in some of your trials?
Definitely. So if you're not familiar with the Children's Oncology Group, it is a multinational consortium that is the primary mission is to evaluate pediatric cancer treatments in the context of a group of about 230 institutions in Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and some other countries in Europe and the Middle East. So across this very, very large consortium, it has been really difficult to track cognitive changes that can result from pediatric cancer because there are a number of different issues with language, as Dr. Schembri said, and also access to psychologists or neuropsychologists who have the expertise to use the tools that we would have traditionally included in a neuropsychological battery. So when we've tried to do this in the past, we ended up with high rates of missing data when we tried to collect this information from sites that didn't have personnel or access to the tests that we wanted to use. In addition, our concern was that our traditional measures that we use as psychologists and neuropsychologists to measure cognition over time are not typically designed to be used very frequently. So we were not able to include measures that could be used frequently enough to capture acute changes that we thought might be related to cognition. And this made it difficult to track changes over time in our pediatric population.